People in the valley used to laugh at him, not because he was cruel, not because he was strange, but because to them he looked useless. While others rushed through life like they were being chased, he moved slowly. While others argued, he listened. While others fought the world, he seemed to let the world pass through him. His name was Shen, and the villagers called him the man who did nothing.
Mist lay low along the river. Reeds bowed in the wind like tired people. Shen sat on a flat stone as usual, hands quiet, gaze on the water. Wei arrived like a storm that had learned to walk. He kicked at the reeds. He kicked a loose stone into the river. It skipped once and sank. He dragged his fingers through his hair until the skin of his scalp looked sore. His eyes were red, not from crying, from grinding his own mind all night. He didn't greet Shen. He paced, the way a man paces when he is arguing with life itself. "I hate everything," Wei said. Shen didn't look up. Wei kept going, faster, like if he spoke quickly enough the world would apologize. "I hate the sun when it's hot. I hate the rain when it's cold. I hate the smell of the market. I hate people chewing. I hate how slow they walk. I hate how loud they laugh. I hate how they look at me like I'm failing." Wei stopped, breathing hard. "And I hate myself," he added, quieter, "because I know I'm becoming ugly." Shen rinsed a clay cup in the river, slow, exact. He poured out the river water like emptying a thought. Then he asked one question. "Where are you carrying it?" Wei blinked. "What?" Shen's eyes stayed on the surface of the river. "All this hate," Shen said. "Where are you carrying it?" Wei scoffed. "In my head," he snapped. "In my chest. In my whole body." Shen nodded once, as if hearing weather. Then he asked another question. "Did the sun offend you on purpose?" Wei's jaw tightened. "No." "Did the rain plan to ruin your day?" Shen asked. Wei looked away. "No." Shen's voice stayed calm. "Then why are you walking as if the world is your enemy?" Wei opened his mouth. 100 answers rushed to the front. He swallowed them. His shoulders rose, then fell. "I don't know. I just can't stop." Shen finally looked up. Not soft, not harsh, clear. "Tell me 3 things," Shen said. Wei frowned. "What?" Shen held up one finger. "When did you last sleep without waking?" Wei's face tightened. He didn't answer. Shen held up a second finger. "When did you last eat without rushing?" Wei's mouth twitched. Shen held up a third finger. "When did you last do one thing without watching yourself do it?" Wei stared at the river. His anger didn't disappear, but it paused, like a dog hearing a new sound. Wei exhaled. "I don't remember," he admitted. Shen nodded once. "So you are thin inside," Shen said. "That's why everything feels sharp." Wei's throat tightened at the accuracy. He hated the truth because it fit. Wei stepped closer, voice low. "So what do? I don't want to live like this." Shen reached into the sleeve of his robe. He pulled out a small cloth pouch, plain, worn, tied with a simple cord. He placed it on the stone between them. Then he reached down and picked up a smooth pebble from the riverbank. He dropped it into the pouch. Clack. The sound was small, but in the morning silence it was loud.
Shen held the pouch out to Wei. Wei stared at it like it was an insult. "What is this?" Wei asked. Shen's answer was simple. "A pocket," Shen said. Wei's brow furrowed. Shen continued. "Today," he said, "each time you hate something, put one pebble in your pocket." Wei let out a bitter laugh. "That's childish." Shen nodded. "Good," Shen said. "Do it anyway." Wei looked at the pouch, then at Shen. "And if I don't?" he asked. Shen's eyes didn't move. Then keep carrying it, he said, but invisible things grow. Wei swallowed. He took the pouch. It felt light. It felt stupid. That made him want to throw it into the river. He didn't. He tied it to his belt and walked toward the village. The river stayed behind, quiet, unbothered. The village was already awake. Smoke and rice, footsteps on stone, a rooster cutting the air like a blade. Wei walked into the market lane. Immediately, life began touching him. A man brushed past his shoulder without apologizing. Wei's jaw tightened. His hand went to the pouch. He hesitated. Then he reached in, took a pebble, and dropped it into his pocket. Clack. The sound was small, but something in Wei's chest loosened, just a hair. Because for once, his anger was not a fog. It had a shape. It had a weight. 2 stalls down, a vendor argued with a customer. Not even with Wei, but the sharp voices scraped his nerves. His stomach twisted. Clack. Another pebble. This time he noticed the twist as it started, not after it had already poisoned his whole body. A child ran by and bumped his hip. The child didn't look back. Wei felt heat rise. Clack. And the heat dropped a little faster than usual because he had named it with his hand. A woman laughed too loudly. Clack. A dog barked at nothing. Clack. A man chewed with his mouth open. Clack. Wei felt ridiculous, but the pouch kept accepting his honesty. By mid-morning, his pocket pulled slightly to one side. A tug. A reminder. And something strange happened. The same market that always made him itch didn't feel as poisonous. The voices were still loud, the smells were still sharp, but Wei's anger was arriving in smaller pieces, not as a flood. At noon, he sat near a stall and ate a plain bun. Someone laughed nearby. Usually it would have irritated him. Today it didn't. Not because the laugh became softer, but because Wei had stopped feeding it with 10 extra thoughts. He surprised himself with a quiet exhale that almost sounded like relief. Then he caught it, his mind reaching again. The next irritation came fast. A man barged into a line. Wei's chest flared. Clack. He stared at the man's back. Then the flare cooled. Not gone, but shorter. Wei walked to the schoolyard with his scrolls. He tried to read. A line of ink was smudged. A small error, nothing, but Wei felt the old rage walk to jump. Clack. He breathed once. The page stayed a page, not a verdict on his life. By late afternoon, the pocket was no longer a joke. It was heavy. Each step made stones knock softly against his thigh. Clack, clack, like little teeth. Wei tried to walk faster. The pocket slapped harder. He tried to sit. The stones pressed into his hip. He stood again, irritated. Then he realized what he was doing. He was angry at the stones now, and the stones were his anger. Wei reached into the pouch. His fingers touched a pile. Too many. He hadn't noticed how many times he had hated. That was the most frightening part. And yet, he also realized something else. Some things that used to light him on fire had only earned 1 pebble today, not 10, not 100. Because the moment he noticed the anger, it lost half its power. Wei left the market and returned to the river. His belt pulled down on one side. His posture looked crooked, like a man carrying a secret sickness. Shen was still there. Same stone, same quiet. Wei approached, breathing hard again, this time from weight, not rage. He dropped to a crouch and ripped the pouch off his belt. He held it up. His voice cracked. "This is your fault," Wei said. "You made me do this." Shen didn't react. He held out his hand. "Show me," Shen said. Wei untied the cord and poured the pebbles onto the flat stone between them. They didn't come out as a few. They came out as a pile, a harsh little heap of gray. The sound was ugly. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Wei stared at it like evidence. His mouth opened. No words came. Shen let the silence press on him. Then Shen asked softly, "Did the reeds do this?" Wei swallowed. "No." "Did the sun do this?" Shen asked. Wei's eyes burned. "No."
Shen nodded once. Then who did? He asked. Wei's throat moved. I did, he whispered. Shen leaned forward slightly, not to lecture, to cut. You weren't angry, Shen said. You were collecting. Wei's eyes dropped to the pile. He could suddenly remember each stone, each moment, each small hate. Wei whispered like a shamed prayer. I didn't know I was this full. Shen nodded. That is why you suffer, Shen said. You carry yesterday into today. Then you wonder why today feels heavy. Wei looked up. But, he said, almost resisting his own confession, putting them in my pocket. He touched his belt unconsciously. It helped. Shen's eyes stayed calm. Of course it helped, he said. When you count a thing, it stops pretending to be the whole world. Wei's throat tightened. So what do I do, he asked, next time? Because it will come again. Shen didn't say, be calm. He didn't say, let go. He pointed at the pile. Pick one, he said. Wei hesitated. Then he picked up a pebble. Shen asked, what was this? Wei's mouth tightened. The dog barking, he said. Shen nodded. Put it back, Shen said. Wei looked at the river. He understood. He walked to the waterline. He tossed the pebble in. Plop.
Shen's voice came from behind him. One by one, Shen said, not as a flood. Wei returned to the pile. He picked up another pebble. What was this? Shen asked. Wei exhaled. The man chewing. Plop. Another. The heat. Plop. Another. The ink smudge. Plop. With each pebble, Wei's shoulders lowered a fraction. Not because the world improved, because he stopped storing it. Finally, the stone between them was clear. Only wet marks remained. Wei's pocket felt light again. Wei sat down on the riverbank without thinking about how he looked. He stared at his empty hands. It feels stupid, he said quietly, that these little things were making me hate my whole life. Shen nodded once. Little things don't ruin your life, Shen said. Keeping them does. Wei swallowed. So the answer is never feel anger? He asked. Shen shook his head immediately. No, he said. Feel it. Name it. Then let it pass. Wei's eyes stayed on the river. The water moved around stones without insult. Wei asked, how do I remember? Shen reached down and picked up one last pebble. He placed it in Wei's palm. This one, Shen said, is for the moment you notice your hate. Wei frowned. What do I do with it? Shen's answer was simple. Put it in your pocket, he said, but drop it before sunset. Wei blinked. Before sunset? He asked. Shen nodded. Yes. If you carry it past the day, Shen said, it becomes tomorrow's mood. Then it becomes your personality. Wei looked down at the pebble in his hand. He could feel how easy it would be to keep it, how natural it would be. Shen watched his face and added one more line. Dropping is easy, Shen said. Holding well is skill. Wei's throat tightened. He understood the insult hidden in the kindness. He had been holding badly. Wei looked at Shen. And if I can't drop it? He asked. Shen pointed at Wei's pocket. Then your pocket becomes your prison, he said, and you will blame the world for the bars. Wei exhaled slow. He looked at the pebble in his hand. He felt the old urge to keep it, to prove he was right to be angry. Then he did something small. He placed the pebble back on the ground beside Shen's stone. Not dramatic, not heroic, just a change. His fingers opened. His shoulders loosened. Shen didn't praise him. He just nodded once like a gate opening quietly. The reeds bent again. The river moved on, and Shen's final line came soft as a blade. The world is not heavy, he said. Your pockets are.
What Shen taught Wei wasn't just a mental trick. It is the root of ancient Buddhist wisdom and the exact foundation of modern cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. When Wei's anger was just a fog in his head, it controlled him. But the moment Shen forced him to drop a pebble, Wei had to name the emotion. In modern psychology, this is called affect labeling. Recognizing an emotion forces your brain to switch from the emotional center to the logical center. By simply giving his anger a physical shape, Wei took away half its power. At its deepest level, Shen is teaching the Buddhist practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't about forcing your mind to be empty, it's about watching your thoughts without judging them. By pausing to drop the pebble, Wei created a split-second gap between the trigger, the loud laugh, and his reaction. He stopped being the anger and simply became the observer of the anger. Wei didn't realize he was collecting hate. Every time we get annoyed at traffic, a loud noise, or a bad email, we carry that invisible weight into our next interaction. By the end of the day, our cognitive load is so heavy that we snap at the people we love. We blame the world, but the weight is entirely in our own pockets. Shen didn't tell Wei to stop feeling anger. Anger is a natural human reaction, but holding on to it is a choice. In Buddhism, letting the pebbles go is the practice of non-attachment. Checklist: observe the anger. Name the anger. Drop it before sunset.